Hi, welcome to today's episode of Family Fandom Talk, FFT, the show where we invite families, parents, and kids to talk about the latest fan stuff. My name is Emily, and this is my dad, Michael.
Thank you, Emily. Let's go ahead and get started, and we'll talk about our rules that we do every week. So this is the rules for our conversation since it's a family show. Obviously, there's no cursing. The idea is for parents and kids both to be involved. So both the parents and the kids ideally should be fans. The kids need to be old enough to really kind of engage in this kind of conversation. So a younger sibling, someone who's like, I don't know, say, under 5 or something like that, might not be able to kind of sit still or focus on this kind of stuff. But beyond that, I mean, the kid can be from 8 to 80 as far as I'm concerned. I mean, if someone 40 years old has their parent who's in their 60s and they're both into this kind of stuff and they want to be involved as the parent and kid, I think that's great. And then number 4, I'd say, is probably our most important, is that as part of our conversation, all opinions are valid. No one should ever be talking anyone else down. No one should ever be telling anyone else they're wrong. If you mention something that's a fact and someone knows that fact is incorrect, they can point out that the fact is incorrect. But if you're talking about a feeling or you're talking about a thought or just anything like that, then everything is valid. All opinions are okay. No one's opinion is better than others. And then what are we talking about? What's fandom? So fandom is the fun stuff. It's we say it's Star Trek, Star Wars, it's Doctor Who, it can be Disney princesses, it can be musicals, it could be anything that people are passionate about and have fun with, and that parents and kids can talk about together. And then also spoilers. We will be discussing current shows. To us, if it's aired, if it's open in the theaters or it's aired on television, it's debuted on a streaming service, it's out. We will talk about it. If we're going to talk about something that you haven't seen yet, feel free to pause the show after the fact that it's live. But if you want to stop watching the show or pause it and then watch something then come back, that's perfectly fine too. We'll be here. So that's our rules. And I just wanted to point out that clearly you are in a different room this week. So this is the first time we've been doing the show that you're at your mom's house. Eventually, it'll probably be alternating back and forth more. So still have stuffed animals, still your room. You just have 2 rooms.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go ahead and get started with our fandom news. And we're back. And the first thing we're going to talk about is the Little Mermaid live action film. This has been delayed a little bit. They announced it like almost 2 years ago, started announcing the casting. They started doing some filming and then COVID-19 happened and kind of shut things down. I believe they've been back filming in London, but now the big news is that they're about to start shooting in Sardinia, which is an island off the coast of Italy. It's an Italian island, and that's going to be the major setting for kind of the sea world and the main village and kind of the main setting. So they're going to move from sound stages in London for all of their outdoor shooting is all going to take place in Sardinia. They're going to start that at the beginning of the summer. Just a reminder for people, this is who's playing the principal cast there. It's something we haven't talked about. So how are you feeling about it, Emily?
I feel excited that they're turning all of these classic Disney movies into live action. They started with I think it was Lion King was the first Disney movie they
they've been doing it with tons of them. I mean, you could go all the way back. There was a Cinderella one.
I think it was Cinderella's.
Yeah.
I think Cinderella was first.
That was one of the big, most recent ones. I mean, you can go back to, doing them with the villains, with what's the kind of demon woman? Maleficent, yeah. Maleficent was a big success, and that really kind of started off a big stream there. And they did a live action 101 Dalmatians. They did 2 of those, and now that's leading into a sequel. So now you've got a Cruella de Vil movie coming up that's kind of a follow-up to Maleficent, where they were successful with one film that was the background and origin story of a classic Disney villain. So so now they're doing another one with Cruella, and that's actually coming next month, I believe. That so that's going to be the origin of another Disney villain. They did the live action Beauty and the Beast. I mean, this has been happening for a while now, and definitely not going away. I mean, we still haven't seen like a live action Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, and that was the very first Disney animated film.
Mm-hmm.
But so you like the trend, so you like the idea of it being live action.
Mm-hmm. I think my favorite of the live action Disney movies so far is Aladdin.
Okay, that's right. Yep, Aladdin. Yeah, and we've watched that one a lot, a number of times. Yeah, the songs are very catchy. The leads of that movie were very, very good. We actually did a story a couple weeks ago about how the lead in that may be showing up soon in a Star Wars series. So, yep, that was a good one. I mean, I think really, other than the villain, I thought the Jafar in it was not the greatest, but
yeah.
Let's see. Anything else? Obviously a bunch of these are not going to be kind of people. They'll be most likely CGI characters, so like Sebastian, Flounder, Scuttle. We may not even see those actors or have those actors be recognizable in it, but their voices will be very recognizable. Probably the rest of them we'll see to some extent. Ursula, I'm curious to see, I don't think they're far enough along to where we would start seeing the first images of what the characters are going to look like. But I know everyone would be eagerly anticipating what Melissa McCarthy is going to look like. Go ahead.
You were just glitching a lot.
Okay, don't worry about it. Let's move on. Are you still there? Are you glitching? Okay. Well, that is important. Oh. Are you back?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I did lose you for a couple seconds.
Everything was just loading.
Okay.
For me, everything except for the background was loading.
Okay. Well, let's move on since we're live. But yeah, so that's going to probably happen sometimes, especially when we're in two different locations now. And as we add additional people, we had more people last week, and we had a little bit of glitching there. So we'll figure it out. Okay, so moving on to the next story. We haven't really covered comics that much, but this was one I thought was interesting. Essentially the most expensive comic book in the world, Action Comics #1, which kind of keeps setting records every once in a while. Like a copy of the first Batman will come up as well, and that will come close to the record or break it, and then another copy of Action sells, or sometimes it's the same copy that gets resold every couple of years and kind of switches hands from one millionaire to another. So that happened again, and we've now set a new record for the most amount of money ever paid for a comic book. This copy of Action Comics #1, which has been sold a number of times, sold for $3.25 million. That's $3 1/4 million for a copy of a comic book that originally sold for 10 cents in 1938.
Who did it sell to?
Oh, I don't know. A lot of times they don't specifically give you, unless it's someone famous and they choose to announce it. They're usually by auction, and so it's by private auction. So the person who buys it, they're under no obligation to publicly say who they are, and the people selling it can't say their name unless the person publicly wants to announce it. And a lot of times when kind of famous art pieces or really expensive art pieces get sold, the person who bought it doesn't necessarily want people to know that they have so much money that they were able to buy it. That happens with famous baseballs and stuff like that, is like sports memorabilia. It's kind of the same thing, but so someone with $3.25 million to spare now owns one of the best quality copies of Action Comics #1. Yeah, I mean that number up top. I don't know if you've really seen those in comics. When a comic gets graded by experts, they put them in these plastic cases to keep them in that condition so they don't change, and then they give it a numerical score up top, and that's called a grade. So this is an 8.5, and it's out of 10. So that's a very high grade for a comic book that old. Anything over a 6 or 7 for a comic book that old would be in really, really incredible condition. An 8.5 for the very first superhero comic book, for Action Comics #1, the comic that invented superheroes. That's a very high grade for that. Okay, let's move. Yep, wow is right, I would say.
It's like mind blowing.
Okay, next we're going to go back to a show that we've been talking about. That's the pilot for Powerpuff. We had announced this casting a couple weeks ago, but now they started shooting this week. So we're starting to get the first photos from the set. I didn't grab it for here, but we looked the other day and we saw like the live action version of the house, and it was identical. They put it side by side with a picture from the cartoon. And they recreated the exterior of the house perfectly that they all live in. And then this is a shot of all three of the actresses playing the Powerpuff Girls. So this is from the first couple days of shooting.
It looks like everybody completely switched personalities.
Interesting.
Like, it is so unusual to see Buttercup there so happy.
Interesting.
And you can definitely see there that is Dove Cameron playing Bubbles, and she looks grumpy.
Yeah, we'll have to see. I mean, they may all be part of the story, you know. I mean, at this point, they're shooting a pilot, and we don't even know for sure. I mean, it's getting a lot of publicity, but I don't think it's already been ordered for a season, because normally what happens is you shoot a pilot, you shoot the first episode for a show, and then the network decides if they actually want to make the show or not, or order what's called ordering the first season. And usually when you order it, you order a certain number of episodes. So most shows, whether they have 13 episodes or 22 episodes, which is about normal for broadcast television, they don't usually order the first full amount. Like for a 22 episode show, you wouldn't, like, the network will almost never order a whole season. It happens for really, really successful shows, but for new shows, normally they will order like 13 episodes. So that's why, like, a lot of shows that never get past their initial order only have 13 episodes and never get to a full season. Because the network will order 13 episodes, and then if the show is successful during the course of the season, they'll order what's called the back 9, and so that's like ordering the last 9 to finish it up to a 22 episode season. At this point, I think it's still just a pilot. I don't think they've even actually ordered the first 13 episodes or not. They'll probably normally what a network would do, in this case the CW, is they would order the pilot, see how the pilot turns out. Do the actors work? The director who did it, did they make a good show? Sometimes, in some instances, they'll do a second pilot. Like Big Bang Theory had that. Big Bang Theory had a completely different pilot that the network did not like at all, and we're not going to make the show of Big Bang Theory, which was now one of the most successful comedies, ran 12 years. But the network was interested enough to order a second pilot, changed out some of the actors. Like Penny was not in the original version. It was a completely different actress playing a completely different character, playing the role originally. And I'm doing a lot of dad-splaining here. But I just think it's something that people might be interested in, is kind of how television works and how things get made. Big Bang Theory was unsuccessful in its first pilot. They actually ordered a completely different second pilot. I think the main two characters were the only two people that returned for the second pilot. Everyone else was changed out, and that happens a lot. Yeah. So I mean, right now they're making the pilot for this. The CW will look at it and say, okay, this is good. Let's order it for a whole season. Let's see. So that's actually not the news. The news is that, yes, they started filming and we got the first looks on the set. But in terms of casting news, we talked last week that they cast someone as Professor Utonium, and then they also cast someone as the son of Mojo Jojo. They've now cast one of the other characters. This is Miss Bellum. The actress Robyn Lively has been cast as Miss Bellum, and no, her head is not cut off, because I didn't quite remember it from the Powerpuff Girls, but I think you do, that we never actually saw Miss Bellum's face. She always had her head cut off, I believe. She was the assistant to the mayor, I believe.
Yes.
She's been cast, and I would hope that we get to see Robyn Lively's face. Do you remember anything about the character and any character traits from her from watching Powerpuff Girls, the original cartoon?
No. Not really.
But you remember that her head was always cut off on screen.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, that's her. Okay, so moving on with the news. We actually don't have that much news this week. Really, honestly, this week there was not that much in terms of casting announcements, new stuff happening, scheduling dates, or stuff like that. There was some, but not much. So we're actually going to cover a lot more trailers because there were a bunch of trailers that came out this week. But the last item we have for the news is some casting on the show She-Hulk. That's going to be a Marvel series coming up, and that's Renée Elise Goldsberry. Who, for us, I'd say the biggest thing we've seen her in was probably, oh man, just left my brain. The musical. Hamilton.
Oh, Hamilton.
How did that completely leave my brain? she was Angelica.
Angelica.
Right, exactly. from Hamilton. So she's actually not playing the She-Hulk in the TV series. This is a Disney Plus show. She's playing a character, could be a new character named Amelia, somewhere in She-Hulk's life. She-Hulk is actually has already been announced for a couple months now as Tatiana Maslany. So the actress who will be playing both Jennifer Walters, who is the real name of She-Hulk, and will also be playing She-Hulk. So we can only assume there's probably going to be some CGI involved, probably similarly to what they did in the movies, which will make it interesting to see how much are we going to see She-Hulk in the show. Like if She-Hulk is a CGI character created from Tatiana Maslany, how much is it going to be Jennifer? How much is it going to be She-Hulk? And this is a Disney Plus show. They're going to start filming probably this summer. We're still working through the first 3 shows that they had created for the first 3 Marvel shows that they'd created for Disney Plus. We've had WandaVision already. We're now in the middle of Falcon and Winter Soldier, and then we're getting Loki in June. This is part of the next 2. The next 2 shows for Marvel that will be up on Disney Plus towards the end of the year are going to be Hawkeye, which we've already covered a couple times. They're shooting that now, and then they're probably going to start shooting She-Hulk soon. So they're still just getting the cast together. They'll probably be shooting over the summer for release sometime, at least beginning probably before the beginning of the year or early next year. We do know that the actor who plays the Hulk in the Marvel movies is returning. Mark Ruffalo, he will be back. If they're going to start with an origin story, you would think you'd have him. I'm not sure how familiar you are that much with She-Hulk. Do you know what? Not
really.
Yeah. Do you know what her original origin story was?
No, but I think you told me a little bit about how she became She-Hulk.
Yeah, so she was actually Bruce Banner's cousin, Jennifer Walters. Her alter ego was Bruce Banner's cousin, and in the comic, she gets into an accident, and then she needs a blood transfusion really quickly in order to survive. And being that he's a doctor, he actually goes ahead and gives her the blood transfusion with the only donor he has, which is him. And the idea is that not anyone, that he couldn't just give his blood to anybody and have them become a Hulk necessarily, but because she's his cousin, in the comics at least, he gives her his blood, and that's how she turns into She-Hulk. But she was a little bit different than him in that she always had control over it. So with him, it only happened when he was angry and he couldn't control it. And it was kind of he kind of was more of a sad character because he couldn't control turning into this rampaging monster. She-Hulk was different in that she could pretty much control it and could turn into She-Hulk whenever she wanted and completely retained her personality. She didn't become a different personality when she became She-Hulk. She just became bigger and stronger and able to do stuff physically that Jennifer Walters couldn't do. So originally she tried to keep it a secret identity. She's an attorney, and that I believe is still going to be a factor in the show. I believe the show is going to be part superhero action adventure, part legal show, because it's going to be her as an attorney. Because in the comics, eventually what ended up happening is She-Hulk, she eventually ended up becoming She-Hulk pretty much full time and almost never turning back into Jennifer Walters. And then her as Jennifer Walters' attorney, as the She-Hulk, continued to do cases in court and actually became an attorney for superpowered people, and defended superpowered people in court as kind of an attorney to superheroes and superpowered people. I don't know how much of that is going to happen in the show, how much of that story they're going to follow, but the fact that Mark Ruffalo is going to appear, at least they're going to tie into him being there as to how she becomes She-Hulk. So I'm curious to see how they go with that.
Yeah. So you're saying that she was basically like Smart Hulk at one point?
Yeah, the way they did it at the end. Yeah, the way they did it in Endgame, where we met back with Hulk 5 years later, and he and Bruce Banner had kind of reached an arrangement to where he wasn't turning back into Bruce Banner anymore, and he was staying the Hulk, but he was the Hulk. Where Bruce Banner and the two personalities had kind of merged, similar to that, but without really the other personality. Really, it's just her. It's just her hulked out. So think the Hulk with a law degree and fighting cases in court.
Smashing tables.
Nice. Cool. Let's see. So that's I believe what we've got for the news. We can go ahead and shift over to the reviews, or what we call talk time.
Talk time.
And we're back, and like we talked about earlier, there really wasn't that much news this week in terms of casting, schedules shifting around, or anything like that. But there were a whole bunch of new trailers, so we're going to talk about some of those. We talked last week about that Paramount was going to do a Star Trek First Contact Day and use it as a way of promoting a lot of their new Star Trek related stuff coming out. And I know other shows I'm aware of that are on YouTube have had trouble talking about our kind of stuff and actually showing trailers for movies. They sometimes get shut down for copyright violations on YouTube. So just in case, at this point, I don't really want to show trailers, but I went ahead and put this together to kind of show some of the trailers that came out this week that we're going to talk about. Obviously, one of the big ones was Star Trek Discovery Season 4. We have been watching seasons 1 through 3 so far. And do you remember what was the really, really big thing that happened at the very end of Season 3?
Michael became captain. And the very last line of the episode was, "Let's fly."
Yep, that was her catchphrase. Yep, they made a point about talking about how every captain kind of has their catchphrase for starting the ship and moving away. And they showed how during the season when Saru became captain for a little bit, he had trouble kind of coming up with his. But then as soon as Michael became captain, she had it ready to go. It was "Let's fly." It's cool that after 3 seasons of the lead character of the show not being the captain of the ship, finally Michael is now the captain of the ship, starting with Season 4. We've watched her kind of grow into the role and be ready for the role. And I don't know, I was surprised that they even had as much to show. I was surprised even that it was going to come this year, that later in 2021, because we only finished Season 3 in 2021, kind of at the tail end of lockdown. And I was shocked. I did not know that they had managed to start filming and got so much done. I kind of figured, like in the past, we might have a whole year in between seasons at least, that was going to take them time to shoot the new season. But clearly they must have started shooting again before Season 3 ended, so they already had stuff going because it looked like from the trailer they at least have the first couple of episodes. Because, I couldn't really parse out enough to say what's going to happen in the season. We saw a lot of action beats, we saw a lot of people being scared by things and exciting things happening, but not enough to know like what's the overall theme or story for the season. But just the fact that it's coming next year. And one thing we talked about is the fact that there's definitely, as Star Trek shifts uniforms even within the same show, sometimes there are types of Starfleet uniforms that I've liked and ones that I haven't. I haven't really normally liked the ones that where it's all one color and then the color change is just like on the edges and the piping of the costumes. And when they spoilers, for Season 3, when they jumped into the future 1,000 years ahead of any Star Trek has been, before, 1,000 years ahead of Next Generation, the Federation of the time were back to, single color uniforms, all gray, but with the color edges and stuff. And so they initially were having those same uniforms, but it looks like, by the start of Season 4, they've switched to a new full color uniform so that each of the different divisions you've got command, sciences. I'm not sure what the other distinctions were, because it was always the same kind of red, blue, and gold from the original show, and they've kind of done variations of that over the other series. And I like the fact that they're now on solid colors again.
Yeah.
What do you think? You're more of a fashion sense person than I am, way more. Which do you like? Because before, I mean, the first 3 seasons, the era that they were saying that they were coming from, or at least their crew, were all blue. It was and so they've had those same uniforms for the first 3 seasons. Those all blue, but with different color kind of accents.
Yeah.
So between the blue, the all gray, and now the new multicolored ones, which ones do you like the best?
I think I really like the all one color ones in season 4 too.
Oh, okay. You're saying you like these where they're whole different colors.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought you were saying the opposite, that you actually liked the where it was all one color just with different accents, because that's okay if you liked a different color or different version of the uniforms than I did.
I like these too.
Okay. And I don't know how much I mean, you've seen Next Generation, you've seen some of the movies, but I don't know that you're that particular about it, or that I think probably of shows. I mean, that's the thing, as we watch classic things, you're more attuned to the most recent, because that's what you've kind of now grown up with. Discovery is probably the Star Trek show that you've seen the most of.
Yeah.
It really is your Star Trek. Okay, well, our second picture there was a little bit, it was probably more of a teaser than a trailer for the second season of Picard. Which I think you watched some of the last couple episodes. I think you watched the last episode with me. So you knew more about kind of the Data story and the Picard story there than kind of what had been happening for most of the rest of the season. But the big thing was that it was mostly a voiceover from Picard over some images. But the big thing was, as they got to the final image was the playing card on the chess table there, and it being the Queen with the letter Q, and then kind of the card dissolves into just the letter Q, with clearly the tease being that in Picard season 2, the character of Q will finally reappear. That fans have been waiting for a long time. He didn't obviously appear in Picard. He didn't appear in any of the Next Generation movies. So we haven't really seen him since some of the later shows. I believe he appeared on Deep Space Nine. He appeared on Voyager. He didn't appear in Enterprise because that was in the past. So they weren't going to put an appearance by the Q in the past. So this is probably the first time we've seen him since probably the series Voyager. And I know you weren't familiar with the character, so we went and watched a couple clips of Q's appearances from the Next Generation. What did you think about the character?
Well, I don't think I really like him. He does seem like a very weird character to me. To me, a lot of the characters in Next Generation were very weird.
Okay. Who else did you think was weird?
I forgot what they're called.
Ferengi? Maybe the ones with the kind of big heads and big ridges. I don't know which one you're talking about. I'm not even sure what you mean by weird. So it's okay. Just say what you're thinking. Okay. Anything is okay. You can say anything.
I know.
Okay. Well, let's move on then. Okay, so Ghostbusters Afterlife is the new Ghostbusters movie. We'd seen the trailer already. The trailer came out, I think, last year, because the movie was supposed to have come out last summer. So we'd already seen the main trailer, and they added something finally to the main trailer. And we watched the new short thing that came out this week, plus we rewatched the trailer just to kind of remind us, of that movie coming up this summer. So, do you want to describe, what we saw in the new short piece?
Well, in the new sort of trailer, as you can see from the picture, we saw very tiny marshmallows. I think the character is called Marshmallow.
The Stay Puft Marshmallow Man.
Yeah, Marshmallow Man. Very tiny ones.
And what do we see them doing?
Well, some of them were making s'mores with each other. Like out of each other.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. Yeah, it basically showed these little mini ones, which the idea of like you're looking at them, you think, oh, so cute, and then they start doing like really mean things. I mean, one of them bites, the main character's finger. They showed them roasting each other, making, like you said, making s'mores out of each other. And then, what do you think about the trailer overall? Because now that it looks like it is going to be focused on, something that I know you like, which is taking something and really putting it from a kid's perspective. That it looks like the new trailer is really focused on a group of kids becoming the new Ghostbusters. What are you thinking about the movie?
Well, I feel excited, but I'm a little worried to watch it because some Ghostbusters movies have not been like not scary to me.
Okay.
Some of them have really actually been scary.
Okay, so you're worried about it being too scary for you.
Yeah.
Okay, that's valid. I know we saw the last newest Ghostbusters movie, the one that was the all girls, all women Ghostbusters, and I remember you enjoying that quite a bit.
Yeah, but some parts were a little scary.
Yeah, that's true. So some of the monsters, creatures, ghosts, whatever, some of that stuff is scary for you. So we'll have to see. I mean, we'll have to see when it comes out. I don't think it's rated R. I think it's probably rated PG-13. And I know, we've watched a bunch of PG-13 stuff, but it's entirely up to you to decide what's scary and what's not for you.
Yeah.
But I think with the team being led by a young girl with glasses, I could see you being into it. And then the fourth one we had is the Loki trailer. There was a new version of the trailer. We got to get some more of a sense of it. It was still really atmospheric. I mean, they actually named the organization, the Time Authority. They talked more about showing them in their headquarters and stuff there. We didn't get that much more of a sense of his story. I mean, we did get more confirmation that it's about him being on trial for having stolen the cube, because they did refer to it specifically, which we didn't get that confirmation. It was more atmospheric in the first one. So in the second one, we're starting to get a little bit more of a sense. I mean, we've got 2 months till the show comes out, so it's starting to give us a little bit more idea about it. So I don't know. It's definitely different. I mean, each one of the Marvel shows have been completely different from each other so far. I know we loved WandaVision, and we're enjoying Falcon and Winter Soldier, but it's exciting in a completely different way. And then what do you think about Loki?
I think it's going to be exciting because from the trailer, it looks like it's going to be like there's going to be a lot of mystery.
Mm-hmm. So a lot of fan speculation. WandaVision kind of started this whole trend of fans speculating about what might happen, and most of the time being wrong. And then Falcon and Winter Soldier has a little bit of it, which we'll get to in a minute. Yeah. And then Loki, we'll have to see. The whole thing seems built around mystery and surprise and not knowing where they're going to go next, or what time period or what place, or what he might be up to, or what versions of characters we're going to see. So who knows?
Yeah.
I think instead of like WandaVision with it being like one big central mystery, which is like, how did they get here? Who's doing it? What's going on? It's still really that one big mystery. With Loki, it's probably going to be a different mystery every 10 minutes.
Yeah.
He is the god of mischief. Anything else left to say about any of these trailers?
No, not really.
Which of these are you most excited about?
Discovery.
Kind of figured. Yeah, I know you've been a big fan of that show, pretty much ever since you've started watching it, especially of Michael Burnham. What do you like about Michael?
I like that she's brave. she has lots of courage. And she never gives up.
Good. Those are all good qualities to have in a hero. Okay, so let's go ahead and move on with our reviews to the big thing, obviously still right now, which is Falcon and the Soldier. We ended last week very excitedly, with I think her name is Oyo from the Dora Milaje showing up, and we kind of took off from there. We started right off where that we began right where that left off with the Dora Milaje, and what did you think about their reappearance and kind of them being in the Falcon Winter Soldier show?
I think that it's helping connect stuff from other Marvel movies. Like it's connecting them all together.
Yeah, we definitely got some look at Winter Soldier's past and really get more insight into Bucky, because we didn't really get to see. They kind of skipped over because it didn't happen in the movies. We saw like him getting dropped off at Wakanda, for him getting reprogrammed and getting basically all the bad Winter Soldier stuff out of his head. But the next time we saw him was at the end of Black Panther, when we saw that he's now living a simple life. He doesn't have his artificial arm anymore because it got destroyed in Civil War. So he's been just living life with the one arm. You kind of as a farmer in Wakanda, and living a calm life. And this kind of gave us some tie there, where we saw, a relationship between him and her, where she was actually one of the people helping him recover. And we saw her, saying the words to program him as the worry that he could still be activated, and showing that he can't be activated anymore. And with him crying, and it being a really emotional moment between the two of them.
Yeah.
and showed that they had a really close tie, but then within the story itself, we had a lot of interesting stuff. We got a lot of Baron Zemo, and we got to see how, like, in terms of being a spy and tracking people down, he's better at it than our two stars. It's kind of him, Bucky, and Sam, and between the three of them, Zemo knows what he's doing here.
Mm-hmm.
What'd you think?
I thought that
Okay, just tell me something you liked about the episode. Just tell me your thoughts about the episode.
I liked that they're tying in the rest of the MCU to Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Okay, but within this episode, what did you think were interesting? What did you think about how it ended with the new Captain America having taken the serum, and what he does at the end?
I sort of didn't want to talk about that part of the episode.
Okay. That's okay. What else about the episode,
Well, we're learning more about I forgot her first name, but the bad guy.
Oh, okay. Yes. Yep. I think I've forgotten her first name too.
Morgenthau, but something Morgenthau.
Right, Carly Morgenthau.
Carly.
Yep.
Yeah. We're learning more about her and like her plan.
Mm-hmm.
And Sam thinks that she's doing it for what she's doing. Well, her cause is really good, but not the way she's doing it.
Yep. He agrees with why she's doing what she's doing, but not what she's doing to achieve that goal. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, what did you think about that whole idea about, the people who have disappeared? When the people who disappeared, the people who were left had more of the world to kind of enjoy, and then the other people came back, and now they have to kind of fight for resources. That's kind of the idea. Did you have? I mean, I know that's a very serious, subject matter kind of thing. What part of it kind of spoke to you? And what do you feel about that? I know that's a big, almost essay question, kind of. But what do you think about the whole idea there about, of people having to, share the resources and everything?
Well, I think it's unfair that everything was changed when people were gone during the blip, that everything changed, and now everybody's fighting to get what they need. Like, even Sam and his sister, they're trying to get what they need.
Mm-hmm.
I believe they were trying to get some money to fix up their boat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was unfair that they can't get a loan for that.
Yeah.
Okay. What do you think about the idea of that Zemo's whole thing is he does not want superior beings. He does not want super soldiers, in the world. And so his whole goal was to destroy the serum. And he caught up with Carly, and he actually was able to almost completely destroy the serum and the person who created it, except for one vial. So what did you think about that in terms of, whether there should be super people or not?
Well, I told you this the other day, but I think that they do need to not have any super soldiers. Because I think that Marvel should just move on from super soldiers, and I think no one should replace Captain America.
Okay. That's fair. Okay. Any last thoughts on this before we move on?
Not really.
Okay. So next up is Supergirl, and there's the poster you like. I wanted to tie it together with an image from this week, which had the trial of Lex Luthor, and him looking like he was going to be, that there was no way he can't be guilty and can't go to jail, but he manages to get his way out of it. In the meantime, all the rest of Supergirl's friends are all trying to rescue Supergirl out of the Phantom Zone. And from a story we mentioned a couple of weeks ago, an actor who had been cast and was supposed to be in an unnamed but important Kryptonian role, we now found out who that important unnamed Kryptonian was. That it was her father, and may not have been true before Crisis, but we know that things that happened before may not have happened that way now because of Crisis. So now we see, her father might have died with the end of Krypton before, but now he escaped into the Phantom Zone, and the Phantom Zone itself has kind of changed in nature because of Crisis. So he's been stuck in there, and now Kara's stuck in there too, and they're trying to get her out. So what did you kind of think about this episode and kind of the ups and downs of trying to get her, and also of Lena trying to get Lex, and then failing and all that kind of stuff? What'd you think about the episode?
What was the question again?
What did you think about the episode?
I thought that that it was interesting that they were covering multiple problems at the same time. And that Cora is still stuck in the Phantom Zone.
Mm-hmm.
And that I think it's good that we're bringing in more more of Supergirl's family,
Okay.
even if it's just one person.
Who is your favorite character in the episode, and what did they do that made them your favorite?
I think that my favorite character from the episode was Lena.
Oh.
She was trying to fight for the right thing by trying to get Lex into jail, like trying to send him to jail.
Yep, even though it meant possibly sacrificing herself, because in testifying against him, she basically opened herself up possibly to be charged with crimes herself. She had to make that decision to try to get him.
Yeah.
So that's why you thought she was like kind of the bravest person doing that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, I think we're kind of winding down to the end here of this show. So I had fun. I hope you had fun. I hope the audience is having fun. And we'll keep doing this every Sunday, 4 o'clock Mountain Time. We're available on all the platforms. And what would you like to say to everyone, Emily, about seeing us on all the platforms?
Well, subscribe and leave a like.
Okay.